What's up, guys? How's it going? So, as you could probably see from the title and stuff, today's stream is going to be just a little bit different. Hey, Essie Woods, glad to see you. So, today I just wanted to do a little bit of refactoring in Tree. How's it going? And Hilbert Curve. Awesome. I feel like you guys are my crew. You're always here. But, yeah, so I wanted to go through a little bit more of a workflow thing today because I feel like often when you're programming, it's hard to tell when you should like design versus when you should just code versus when you should refactor and all that different stuff. And this project was a perfect example to show when you should refactor because patterns started to emerge as I was coding this. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a great refactoring thing. So yeah. And also I'm just like not in the right headspace to code in Minecraft right now. I spent way too much time this past week editing and I'm like dead now. So I was like, I gotta do some brain dead stuff so that I'm not gonna like kill myself coding. But yeah, this is a math animation library that I made for the last video that I just released on YouTube. And basically it renders videos and you can add different animations. So like you can see I'm drawing some circles here and then they just play out in the same order every time. And like right now I have to restart it if I want to actually render, but I can just hit a button on my computer and it starts rendering the data, and you'll notice it goes a lot slower. And to make sure that I'm still getting like the correct time steps and everything, I have it set to like a fixed 1/60th of a second as it's encoding the data, just so that you get 60 frames per second. And it's rendering to a frame buffer too, so you get a consistent 4K output video. So yeah, this is basically it. And then you can stop it and it stops rendering. And so then you should have a little output MP4 file, which if I bring over to a screen so you guys can see it, is just the animation that we just played there. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm happy with the way it turned out and everything. And I think it'll be interesting to go through this. But yeah. And Tree, what libraries is this project using? So I'm using FFmpeg to do the encoding, FreeType for font rendering, except I didn't actually use font rendering yet because I didn't have time to really get that solid. And then OpenGL and GLFW. So just sort of the basic, and I guess GLM for math stuff too. Yeah. And Essie Woods, do you use this? Do you use Game Engine for this? No. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was pretty easy. If I take a look at the render, I'll show you guys like the insides and how it works. So it basically starts off with an application, which is in core. And so you have this application, which if we look at the main.cpp, this is the best way to go through any program. So basically I just initialize my memory manager and then I call application run, which if we go into here, we have some settings just for like the basic stuff. This is the output video width, the output height. We can set the frame rate. And then this is just something so I can track how many seconds we've written out and everything. And then the window title, because you have to have a window title, right? But yeah, so we call into this run function, which basically just sets up GLFW and GLAD, initialize my font library that uses FreeType under the hood, initializes the render, and then this thing called sandbox, which is basically how all the animations get added. And then we go ahead and we create a texture, which is going to be for the frame buffer. We create the frame buffer, add the texture, we enable blending and everything, and then we just run the loop. And so this is, we start with a 60 frames per second frame rate. So I just basically initialize delta time just to get that sort of jump started. And then it goes through, does the normal loop stuff. You know, I added the frame time to the title just so that you can see. So like if I'm running this real time, I can sort of track how fast it's going up here by looking at the frames. And it's really fast, so it's not like you can really get much there. And how's it going, Langors? Glad to see you. So then we go through, we just bind the frame buffer and everything. I have a few different settings. I don't really use this one anymore, so I might remove that and stuff. And then there's this. This is sort of the main logic of it. It basically checks if we want to play the animation. If we want to play it, and we're not outputting the video file, it'll just give us the regular delta time. But if we are outputting the delta file or the video file, I sort of fix delta time to 1/60th. That way, even though it's taking longer than 60 frames per second, we still get the correct time steps and everything. Yeah. And then it basically just does all the other stuff. I read from the frame buffer to give that to the video encoder. So basically just get a pixel buffer and then push that to the video encoder. and we just go through, and I've got some key bindings on here. So it's not the cleanest of code, but it works, and it's pretty simple. And the way you can add animations, I'm pretty happy with the way it's working so far, but there's definitely more stuff I could do. Basically, I just have these different animation types, and then you have this animation builder thing. And so I can basically call the manager and say, I want to add, well, if I spell right, say I want to add a Bezier 1 animation. So then I'll just call the Bezier 1 animation builder so that I know what things I can set. And so this takes in 2 points. So if I did like -2, 0, and I want to go to 2.0f, 1.0f. And these are GLM vec2, so I have to initialize that. So this will basically just create an interpolation. And so I can set the duration. So this is how long I want it to be. And I can set a delay. So if I want to delay it by like a certain amount of seconds, I can do that. And then I can set a style. And so I'll just use the default style, and that determines like color and all sorts of different stuff. I want to abstract this into a GUI because this is a pain, but I didn't have time to do that. So yeah. But then we can see this in action too. Basically, you just get 2 points. Maybe I'm in the wrong one actually. Yeah. So if I actually take this out of here, because I don't think that function's being called, and if I put it into this init function, it will basically call that first, and that will be the first little animation that plays. Yeah, and then you can see it just draws a line from those 2 points. And then I can also do stuff like say dot with points, and so that'll draw the points first. So then if we run this one more time, you get the points drawn, and then it draws the line between them. So yeah, that's sort of the basics of how this all works. And it's cool with smaller coding projects. Cool, I'm glad you guys like that. And Tree, in your opinion, you should make the Bezier build just a struct with properties. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. So like, are you talking about this stuff and just like put that into a structure and then have like a global structure that you initialize? Because if you are, I think that's a good first step and stuff. I'll show you guys the real spot though. This is like just some real nasty code that can definitely be refactored pretty easily. So we'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, so this is the basics of how it works and everything. If we look at Sandbox, I basically have all these custom animations, which I've put in different files for different types of things. And then if I ever want to turn one on, I just basically uncomment it here, and then it will do that animation for me. This is a kind of cool one that I did, which is probably one of my favorite animations, but it basically just creates a grid, except it draws it over time, and it just looks very satisfying, at least I think. So it like does the square, and it does all the lines and stuff, and I think that looks pretty cool. But yeah. And Tree, you said yes, but also the way that you create the Bezier curve, the thing that you just showed. Okay, give me a little bit more information on that. So this, oh, okay, wait, yeah, you're saying this. So this is a structure. So basically, we have this Bezier 1 animation builder, which uses a class in C++, and then it basically does all this. And then this build function returns a Bezier 1 animation. And so this structure does contain all that data, and it's just a plain old struct with plain old data. The reason I use this pattern of doing like a builder object is because I'm sure you guys, if you're familiar with C++, it has like some differences when you're using plain old data versus classes. One of those being like it's not trivially copyable and all sorts of other stuff. So yeah, basically I use these builder objects when I want to be able to determine what I can use. And it's really nice because then I can use IntelliSense and I can say, oh, these are the fields I have. Whereas if I was just like initializing the struct, you can't really tell what fields you have. And I just use this build function, which just returns the final object and stuff. But yeah. And SE Woods, you said, I actually need my engine to somehow draw a line path as a game object moves, tracing its path. And thanks, Hilbert Curve. I was trying to read your comment at the same time. But yeah, so we can go into that a little bit too. So I'll show you guys sort of how it interpolates those lines and everything. If you're familiar with interpolation, that is the basics of what it's doing. So like if we look at animation.h, this is sort of where all the stuff comes in. And this is where it starts getting a little bit ugly too. But I can show you guys the basics of what it's doing. So we have all the different types of animations. Like, you know, you got your Bezier 1, Bezier 2, which I could totally abstract into just like a Bezier and then have a set of points that you can like interpolate through. Because Once you can draw one Bezier animation, you should be able to draw multiple. But yeah. And you know what interpolation is. That's good. So that'll be very helpful for all this stuff too. And I've got these other things, which are like, if I want to pop an animation off, the animations sort of work like a stack. So you stack them up. And if you want to pop the last one off the stack, you can call pop and it'll take that off. Translate does the same operation. It'll translate the last animation a certain amount of positions. And then this interpolation one will... What will this do? I can't really remember. I think it just interpolates Bezier 2 animations to new indices. Okay. Yeah, so this one is just very fixed. It doesn't really work on all the animations. But yeah. And then this is where we have the animation manager, where we basically add the different types. And then these are sort of the special things. And yeah, I have this to do in here, which is what we're going to be doing today. So that'll be good. But basically, the way it works is if we go into... we'll go Bezier 1 because that's sort of interpolating between two lines. Basically, the way it does this is if we look at this, actually, I guess a better place to go first would be the update function. So we go into this update function, and this is where it starts getting really bad. Like, I just have all these for loops, and they're doing exactly the same thing. So what we're going to do here is we're basically going to parameterize this and turn it into like a templated function so that it basically just does this loop and we don't have to worry about it. But we'll get to that in a minute. How this works though is we basically go through the different animations. And so say we want to go through a Bezier 1 animation, we call its draw function. And so if we call this draw function, this basically gets a interpolation value. So it gets how much time has elapsed over how much time the animation should take. So I sort of normalize that to a range of 0 to 1. So I do the clamp, which gives us a nice range of numbers that's basically just like, okay, now we got 0 to 1 and all the values in between. So it's basically like a percentage of how much we have to complete of this animation. Then I get this percent to do, which is basically I get the duration, multiply it by the lerp, which is just this interpolation value. Oh, this is doing absolutely nothing. So yeah, that's just very bad code because if you notice, I'm multiplying by this, then dividing by this, which is essentially just that. So yeah, let me just make sure that's true. So if I run this still, it should run the same way, but massive oversight on my part. Yeah, and it's still working just fine. Okay, but anyways, yeah, so this lerp can also be thought of as the percent that we have to do. And then I parameterize this because working with parametric equations is way easier when you want to like draw a path than the other things. But if you're drawing the path of a game object, you can sort of save the previous points and it'll do the same thing. I'm using equations, so I just sort of have a fixed path. But if you just have like a history of your past points, it'll essentially be the same concept. So basically what I do is I get a granularity. So like for curved functions, I want to say, you know, it has this many points that you can sort of interpolate between. Because what this is doing is it's actually just drawing a bunch of lines. And it's drawing from one coordinate to the next coordinate. So the best way to visualize this will actually be to just sort of set the granularity down. So let's go into here. And I'm going to get this guy back out. And we'll go into here. And I'm going to set the granularity pretty low so that we can really see what's going on here. So if I go into this guy, you can see that I set the granularity to, oh, this is a Bezier 1. Okay, no, this won't be a good, we'll make this a Bezier 2 so that we actually have like 3 points and it just looks a little bit better. So we'll do 3.0f, 0.0f. Yeah, this is why we need a GUI too, because it's just horrible trying to plot everything by hand. But yeah, anyway, so we do this, and then if we go into this constructor, I set the granularity to 100, which is very high. But if I set it to something like 5, we'll be able to clearly see what's happening, which is basically it's just drawing a bunch of lines from one point to the next. So we get our lines, and if you can see that, there's kind of like these corners. Here, I'll blow this up a little bit. You see these sharp corners. We literally have 5 lines. So this is 1 line, this is 2 lines, this is 3, 4, 5 lines. And that is essentially all I'm doing is I'm just drawing a bunch of lines. I'm sort of breaking it up into different segments, equal size segments for how much granularity you want. So I'm not sure if there's a better way to do this, but in OpenGL, I think this is probably the best way to do it just because of of the way everything works. And then the lines are just quads. So it's like I'm not doing anything special here. I'm just sort of doing a bunch of quads and breaking them up. And if we set that granularity a little bit lower, you'll really be able to see that sort of what's happening underneath the hood. So yeah, and then you can totally see what's happening here. We've got one line here, and then 2 lines, and then 3 lines. And the nice thing about this is you don't really need too many quads. So this is 40 different quads, which isn't that many, especially I'm using like a fixed size batch and everything here, so it's not going to affect performance. And it really interpolates it pretty good. Like it looks pixelated right now just because I don't have any sort of anti-aliasing going on, but 40 is pretty good, even for circles and stuff too. So, yep. And why quads versus lines? Because if you use like GL line, you can't, well, you can set the stroke. I don't know. I think there was a problem with it because I remember I used GL line in the 2D game engine series, but I don't think you can set like the stroke width. But if you use quads, you can artificially set the stroke width. I'll set that back to 100. So like one of the things I can do is if we go back into here, I can get a custom style. So I can say style equals default style. I can say style dot stroke width equals, and then say I do something like 5F. I think no, it's typically 0.03F just because of the grid size and everything. But yeah, so if I do this, then I can actually change the stroke width, and I'll make this a little bit bigger just so that we can actually see what's going on. And this should change the size of the line and everything too. Yeah, so now we get a nice fat line, and then we can continue to change that as well. And you can use GL line width. Okay, you can. I swear there was something else because I remember there was just a problem with using GL line, and I was like, using quads was a little bit easier for me. But SE Woods, I know I've set stroke width. Okay, yeah, you said that too, and you can set the stroke width, but it looks really good. Okay, yeah, is that might have been the problem too? Does OpenGL make it look good and everything when you use GL line? Because I'm pretty sure there was a reason. Let's Google this a little bit because I'm interested now. So OpenGL GL line. Let's see what their documentation says, and maybe something will sort of be like I'll have something reminded or whatever. Okay, yeah, so we got this vertex stream, point primitives, line primitives. Okay, so vertices 0 and 1 are considered line, 2 and 3 are considered a line, and so on. Line strip, line loop. Okay. Line width. Lines are rasterized as a screen aligned quad of uniform width. Maybe this is why, because I just saw that and I was like, oh, you can't set the width or something because it just said to do here. But yeah, it might have been a mixture of that though, and the fact that you need a separate shader, or you need a separate draw call for lines since you're doing it a different way too. And if I keep them all as quads or triangles, I guess, because it's really just triangles, then we can sort of keep it all in one draw call and not have to like batch it separately and everything. But yeah. And SE Woods, you've had some issues with changing the line width when you batch all the lines, but haven't looked that much into it. Okay, yeah. I'm not sure what my reasoning was. This is why it's good to write notes and stuff too. And they all got the same size. Yeah. Oh, that might have been it actually. Yeah, you can't batch them together because since it's stateful, you have to do separate draw calls for different line strokes. But with this, I should be able to like copy this, and then I could make this one 3F, and we'll just change up the positions. I'll just move it down to 1, 0, -1. Yeah, and then we can sort of batch these together still. So we're still getting the batching, but we can also change the stroke width, and it all just sort of works. Yeah. Okay, I think that is what it was. Thank you. But yeah, so that's how it works. I also added in this one thing too, which is a style dot line ending. And right now I only have 2 caps, which is just an arrow or flat. So if we do an arrow, this sort of gives us an arrow line ending, whereas flat is just flat. So like if we look at this now, this one has the arrow at the end, which is kind of cool. So, and it points in the direction of the last segment. So that's also kind of cool. Yeah. And yes, that's nice. Thanks. Yeah. So I never did get to how I'm actually, well, I guess I did sort of get to how I'm interpolating. So yeah, basically I just go through a bunch of different segments and through the granularity, and I basically figure out what the size for each segment should be. And then I just get the coordinate, and then I get the next coordinate, and I just draw a bunch of lines, and that's how I do paths. So if you have a history of different coordinates that your character went through, then you can sort of do the same thing. If we want to go a little bit lower level too, the way I'm actually rendering things is very straightforward. I only have one batch in this, and it basically just flushes the batch every time it gets full. So yeah, I've got this flush batch function. So basically what happens is everything gets submitted every frame, all the draw functions, right? We have draw square, draw filled square, all this stuff. And then basically we check if we have enough vertices to add in whatever we're trying to draw. And if we don't, we just flush the batch, which will basically bind the buffer, buffer the new data, and then it basically binds all the variables, it binds all the textures, and then it just draws them, and that's it. So this is nice because it's super simple. You don't have to worry about like maintaining state or anything. You still get really fast frames, and it's just pretty straightforward. So then I've got just a bunch of different functions where I'm literally just setting up the triangles manually for different things. But once you get a few basic things, like really all I needed was this draw filled triangle. And once you get that going, this is basically all you need to draw anything. So yeah, once I got that, I basically reuse it here. So I just say draw filled triangle, and I could refactor all of this stuff too, because this is all just drawing triangles as well. Just haven't had time to do that yet. Okay. But yeah, so let's go into the part that needs the heavy refactoring though, and sort of talk about what I want to do, which is if we scroll up here, all of this stuff, okay? So clearly there's a pattern here. I just didn't have time to refactor while I was coding all this, but I know for a fact that I should be able to change this up. Please make the global struct, it will make more sense. The global struct for application? Like this thing? Oh, or are you just saying because of the way I use sort of like these variables and stuff? Okay, yeah, so I think you're talking about just like how I have these static variables here. Yeah, I don't know if this is technically a good thing to do or not. It's probably not that good, but I don't know. It works. I just declare these inside of implementation files and stuff. And they're sort of like member variables for me, right? Because they're only visible inside of this file. So I kind of use them in that way. Like I even prefix them with the M to denote like member variable and stuff. The only bad thing about this tactic is like you don't have control over when they get initialized. So yeah, that can be bad. But you can fix that though by just having like a void init function, and then you just initialize them all there. But yeah. Yeah, so I'll probably be keeping this just because it is a little bit easier, but I definitely do want to change the way all this stuff works. First thing I'm going to do, and we'll see about creating some structures to contain all the data and stuff afterwards, but first thing I want to do though is get this stuff parameterized, because this is all literally exactly the same thing. You can see it just takes in a function, it takes in a type, and it takes in a specific variable. So if we can come up with some sort of template to do this, and I think I can declare a template inside an implementation file and it should be fine because we're just using it in here and I don't think that should be a problem. Type name T, and we basically have like an iterate, we'll call this void, and I'm going to declare it static because it's only in here. Iterate animations or whatever. And so the type name will tell us basically which one of these to choose, which I want to do some stuff to get that working. And then which one of these to choose. And then we basically want a function pointer, which takes in the animation and the style, which will actually, yeah, a function pointer for that. So we can declare something like a function pointer. I think the syntax is something like we would do void, and then we're taking in an animation, so a T star, or actually I could do a T ref animation, and then a style ref style. And I think I have to do like a star here or something too. But basically this should just take in a function pointer, I think. Let me look up function pointers real quick because I always forget the syntax for them. So function pointers in C. And I always go to this one because it's easy. Okay, so we do like type and then star function name and then types. So we can change this to type star draw function. And then we take in the animation, we take in the style. Cool. So, and I guess this could take in a collection too. A collection of these and a collection of these. But I kind of want to template these too. Like, for those of you who are C++ knowledgeable, is there a way that I can template this stuff? Because this is all the same. Actually, there is. Yeah, never mind. And tree, you have the answer right there because you said use a struct, and that is what we will do. So we'll have a struct, which is an animation container, I guess, and this will be templated. Yeah. So we'll take in a type name t, and what we'll do is we'll have a stud vector of t, and this is going to be the animations. And then we'll have a stud vector of styles, and this will be styles. And for those of you who aren't familiar with C++ and stuff, templates are basically just Java generics, right? You basically just have your type T, and you can do this. But the cool thing about C++ with templates is you can actually template functions too, like I did down here. And it's a lot easier and more intuitive than it is in Java, wherever I put this thing. All the way down here, yeah. So you basically say, hey, I want this function to be templated, and then you can use that type name here. So C# has support for this too, I think. And it's really cool because then you can do things like this, which are just awesome. So yeah, we basically just have a collection of animations and styles, and these animations are like T animations. And we'll change all of these to reflect this. So we'll say animation container, and I'm still gonna declare these as static. Sorry, tree. We put some of this stuff in a struct. But this will be parametric animation, and this will be our parametric animations. I will initialize them in an initialize function because that is a better style. And then we'll just comment these out for now. And we'll sort of do this pattern for all of this stuff too. So we will have another container for the text animations. And in C# you can declare them the same way as in Java, but they are basically C++ templates without template keyword. Okay, yeah. I'm not sure what like the easier syntax is to understand. This used to confuse me, but it makes a lot of sense to me now just because I'm like, oh, it just affects whatever this is. And then like if you template a class, it's affecting everything in the class. So it's probably just what you're familiar with and stuff is the best way to go about it. But yeah, let's comment that out too though. And this will be bitmap animations. Comment this one out. And this one will be Bezier animations. Now, is there a way though? Am I missing something here? Because I'm still doing a lot of manual work here. And I wonder if we could just sort of have an initialize function, which takes, I think we can. Okay, so basically what I want to do is, I think in templates, you can do something like template, type name, t ... And this is like a collection. And then we can say void init. This is like a collection of type names. Maybe it's just ... Yeah, okay, so we can do this. Type name ... So this takes in a variable amount of templates, and then we don't even have to do any of this stuff. But how do we store it is the question. Well, can we store it as just like a stud vector of animation container? T, maybe? No, I don't think we can do that. But yeah, so basically what I'm thinking is we get this collection and then we can iterate through the collection. Let's look this up real quick too, because I am unfamiliar with this. So template variable args C++. Okay, so this is called a parameter pack, parameter list. Yeah, so basically you have this ... and then you say types. Oh, cool, and we can contain in a structure. Okay. So, and then this takes in like just a bunch of different structures. no arguments, 1 argument, 2 arguments. Okay, cool. So I think this is going to be helpful. And a variadic function template can be called with any number of function arguments. The template arguments are deduced through template argument deduction. So then this basically, okay, figures that stuff out. So what I'm thinking is we can have like a template type name dot 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 types. How did they do this? Struct. Okay. So then we'll have a struct, and this will just be our animations. And how does this part work then? Okay, so this contains 1 argument int, contains 2 arguments int and float. That makes sense, but how do you actually fill the structure up? Okay, so this is where we go, pack expansion. And then we can sort of expand it, and hopefully that will work. Okay, this is getting pretty confusing. So this is like template metaprogramming, I guess, which I'm not familiar with at all. So we'll see how this goes. So a pattern followed by an ellipsis in which the name of at least one parameter pack appears at least once is expanded into 0 or more comma-separated instantiations of the pattern. Okay, so maybe we can do something like, in here we have a stud vector, or actually, yeah, a stud vector of animation container types, and this is all of our animations containers. I think this will work. So basically I think this will turn into a vector, or actually maybe we don't even need the vector because it's kind of implicit. So we just have an animation container of types, and this is all of our containers. I think that's how it works. We'll see. Yeah. And so then this will just have like a vector of t and a vector of styles. And then we don't need to do this anymore. We can literally just have something like this, and this will be types. And then we can say we have a stud, or actually just a static animations dot dot dot. No, that's not going to work. So how do I save this information then in a variable? Because basically we can initialize it in here, I think, by saying like animations types animations. But that's only going to be visible inside of this init function, and we sort of want to store it as a global variable inside of this class. So, this is like completely uncharted territory for me when it comes to programming and stuff. If you want to see a really crazy library too, by the way, you should. Hey, thanks, SC Woods. Wow, that's awesome. I started typing in your name. I got confused there. But if you want to check out a really cool library, if you've ever heard of Entity, this guy is just insane. Like, take a look at this code. So if we just look at the single include, this is 15,000 lines of just insanity. So he has stuff that looks like this, where he basically has these templates, and then it all just sort of does some magic. Yeah, like it does all sorts of magic to use template metaprogramming to do crazy stuff. So it's insane. And that's essentially what I'm trying to do here too, but I have no idea how any of this stuff works. So we're just sort of taking this in stride. Okay, let's look at this a little bit more. So we have parenthesized initializers, brace and close initializers, template argument lists, function parameter lists, template parameter lists. Okay, so all this stuff. What I'm wondering is how I can just sort of define a static animation container. Can I just do that? Containers. I don't think this will work because it needs to be templated, and we're not defining. Yeah, I think like if we wanted to do this, we'd have to say like Bezier 1 animation, Bezier 2 animation, which might work. Maybe we'll just do it this way. And this will just sort of, too many arguments for this class. That's not too many arguments. We have an ellipsis. Oh, animations. That's what we should call this. Yeah. Okay, cool. So maybe we'll just do it this way, and then we can sort of define everything here. So we basically just sort of do this, and we'll call this an M container. And Hilbert curve, this is where reflection might come in handy. Yes, this is where reflection would come very in handy. So I mean, that's just a pitfall. Although you guys did send that one video in the Discord the other day, and I started watching it because I was interested about reflection, and it was reflection in C, I think. But he did the one thing which I'm like, at the end, I sort of skipped to the end of the video, and this is the main problem with like C, C++ reflection is like you can't completely automate it unless it's built into the language. So you have to sort of like add in a code generator at the end. But yeah. And Essie Woods, is there a way of donating more than $10? I want to do all in one. That is awesome. First of all, thanks, Essie Woods, that you wanted to donate more than $10. And I have no idea, honestly, because I just sort of set up this, and you want to watch the stream. Yeah. I just sort of set it up through PayPal, this PayPal thing that's like Streamlabs and everything. So I'm not completely sure how it works and stuff. I'll look more into it later this week. I just didn't have time to work on stream stuff this past week, but I'll look into all that type of stuff. I also want to get like emotes and stuff working for you guys, so subscribers can like do custom emojis and all that stuff. But yeah, and that's okay. Yeah, thank you again though. That's awesome. But yeah, anyways, with C, C++ and stuff, once you get to the reflection, you just have to do a lot of code generation, which isn't cool at the end of the day. So yeah, but let's go through, and I need to figure out what all of these animations are. So we've got this one, we've got this one, and we'll just sort of go and add all this stuff. And Essie, just so you know, it's because of the YouTube content, so don't worry if you don't stream so much. Well, thank you, Essie Woods. Yeah. I'm glad you like the YouTube content too, because that is what I want to mainly be doing. So, yeah. Even though the streams are great. Yeah, I like doing the YouTube stuff. Well, I like streaming too. Streaming is a lot easier because I don't have to edit or anything. But it's not as satisfying in terms of like what I've built, because streams are just sort of just out there. It's like, it's just me coding. Whereas with the YouTube animations, those are, and I'm going to do these pop animations and this stuff differently. But yeah, with the YouTube animations though, those are just, or YouTube videos. Like I put a lot of effort into most of those. The tutorials and stuff, not as much, but the videos that I like doing, yeah. Okay, anyways. So we got this container, and this is sort of going to hold everything. So we'll just say M container equals, see, I want to be able to do something like this, where we could just sort of initialize it there, but I guess it doesn't matter too much. So if we just have the container here, I believe if we just do like M container equals that, that should initialize the vectors inside of here. Because I think the brace initializer will just sort of go through, call all the constructors, which are in here. Technically, since we're already going this route and everything, I don't care if this is a class, because we're holding vectors in here, which are classes. So this won't be plain old data no matter how much I want it to be. So yeah, we can go ahead and do this. And then I'll just say animation container T constructor. And actually, I don't think I have to do that. I think I just do that. So yeah, we'll call it that, and we will basically just say animations equals stood vector T and styles equals stood vector T. So basically we get those, and then I'll make this private, and I'll make this public. Actually, I'll keep these public just because it'll be easier to sort of grab this stuff. But yeah, so this way we just know for a fact that this will be initialized, and then I can just sort of do M container constructor, which this isn't going to work because I need to make this a class too. So we'll make this a class very quickly. And then we'll just say animations and containers equals, or I guess that, which should initialize it, hopefully. And then, nope, maybe I have to do brace initializer. Okay, and then what's this guy say? This says all that stuff. I think it can't deduce the types, but yeah. And Langors, I don't think you need to explicitly initialize vectors. Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So I guess for now we'll leave this as it was before, and we'll just sort of see how things work. But yeah. And also, not sure what animations is supposed to do be. Oh, so if you joined the stream a little bit later, yeah. Basically, let's get rid of this for now too. If I uncomment this stuff, and it's raining out at my place, so if you guys hear some rain, that's why. Hopefully you can hear it, because I love the sound of rain. But yeah, basically I've got this animation library and stuff, which is, let's go here. Yeah, it's not gonna like this, so we're gonna have to fix that and stuff. There's like different types of animations, Bezier animations, lines, and all that type of stuff. And it says this needs to be unpacked. Okay, we'll comment this out for now too. And it essentially does this, if I can run it. You can set up a series of different animations, and then you can draw them like this, or you can render them to video using a couple different key combos and stuff. So that's basically what it is. And the different animations are just different types of animations, because you can also do like all these types. So you can do like parametric, all that stuff. So yeah. Anyways, let's see what was going wrong with these errors though, and see if we can solve this very quickly, because I think that will probably help us. So if we run this again, it was saying it couldn't unpack the type or something. Oh, well, it's going to give us errors about all this stuff too. Okay. Let's add this back in real quick, and then we'll try again. So if I go into here. And SE Woods, will I start to use animations in your videos? For the Minecraft series, yeah. I want to, that's why I'm kind of still working on this, because I do want to add in like some quality 3D animations as well, because I think it'll help when visualizing different things. It's better than my drawings. But for the 2D game engine series, finishing it off, I'm just going to keep it in the same style and stuff. So yeah. But this guy, so first of all, this says it's attempting to reference a deleted function. Okay, so this is getting mad because we don't have a constructor in there. So I'll comment that out for now. We'll go here. And it looks professional as well. Cool. Thank you. Yeah. I got nervous because I was looking at all of 3 Blue and Brown's animations and stuff, and his are just insane. So yeah, I submitted it to his Summer of Math expedition or something like that too. But yeah. And Langor's gotcha, but what exactly are you trying to do with the class animations itself? Replace all those static vectors with a single static variable? Yes, that is what I'm trying to do. So basically, I'm trying to replace all of these with this animation container, which basically is just a parameterized version of this. And then I basically have this, which holds all the containers, and then we have it declared in like one variable. And then that way I can automate some of the stuff further on down too. I just don't have any idea how template metaprogramming works. So we're sort of trying to figure that out, which this says types parameter pack must be expanded in this context. So how to expand type parameters C++ template. So yeah. And if you have any info on that too and stuff, or any good tutorials, that'd be cool if you could link them below, because this is something I am not familiar with. Okay, so consider the case templated function with these arguments. How do I call this? Okay, so basically in C++ 17, you can do this. Stood apply the function, the tuple, responding to the comment saying this won't work if the function is templated. Okay, so we might have to do that for like the function callbacks and stuff too. And SE Woods, do I have a custom-made computer? I actually only use a 13-inch laptop for all the coding. I do. It took me a while to save up enough for it, but I got a desktop PC just because it's nice having that, and like I can run Visual Studio pretty easily and stuff like that too. So, yeah. I can give you guys specs and stuff if you want in a little bit, but And use a StandedTuple. It does what you're trying to do with the animation. Oh, that's a good idea. Thank you. I always do this. I always try and like overcomplicate things when I don't need to. So instead of me doing the template programming, we can just let the standard do it. So I think we will still need this animation container, but I should be able to do a StandedTuple, StandedTuple, and then we can add all these, and then we can make them animation containers, and that will be way easier. Yes, that was a good idea. Thank you. So we can do that, and we should be good. Cool. So now we got this tuple of all that stuff. Yeah. For example, static. Yep. Okay. And you will invest soon too. Yeah. If you guys want to know my PC specs, basically, I've got an RTX 2080 because I got that when that was still new. So like they didn't release the 3000 series, but kind of glad I didn't get the 3000 series because apparently the performance isn't really that great. But yeah. So I have that, and then CPU is like an i7, Intel i7 9700K, I think. And then I have like just standard DDR4 RAM. I have 4 RAM sticks, and I can't remember. I'm using liquid cooling, and then I'm using the Aorus motherboard. So I think I'm using Ultra Z390. Yeah, so this is the one I'm using. So this is like the motherboard and stuff, which supports basically everything that you need. So yeah, it's definitely a decent setup, and it helps me do everything I need to do. So yeah. And Langors, you can do that even better. Template type name args, class animations, public, StandedTuple. Let me copy this. Yes, because this is what I was looking for. I'm just not familiar with like template expansions and that type of stuff. So basically you're saying we can do this, and then we basically, this derives from tuple. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So we just inherit from the class. Yep. Okay, cool. That is a good idea. And so we basically just forward that to the tuple, and then we can just change this to that. I like it. Thank you. You are making my life so much easier today. So let's go here. And do I still use the drawing pad I bought? I do still use that. That's how I drew the little dudes in the animation in my last video too. So yep, they're still good. And then I need to change this too. And it's fun to just doodle and like here, I'll switch my screen real quick so that you guys can see. Like, it's very nice to have this just so that I can sort of write out my thoughts and stuff whenever I need to. And I do it all the time. Like, it's just full of different stuff. So having a drawing pad is really nice, unless you have a notebook by your desk, which is also good because same thing, just different method. Yeah. And let me just do that. Okay. And when in OneNote, for example. Yes. Yep. And hi, what are you working on? Eddie Dev. So we're basically working on refactoring some old code that does animation stuff that looks like this. I used it in the last video on YouTube, so if you've seen that, you're probably familiar with it. But it basically just makes animations and then renders them to videos and stuff. And SE Woods, you bought Samsung pad, works great. Yes, I love Samsung. I got the Huion because, like I said, Jazz, a YouTuber, had like a promotion code or something that I ended up using, and it worked good. Yeah. Cool, so we don't even need this init function now. Thank you again, Langors. That was a great idea. So now we can basically just initialize all of this stuff, and then we can get rid of all of this. And I'm going to add one more parameter to our animation container, which might mess with this because we're going to need something else, which is like a function pointer. So basically, I also want to have a function pointer, which we're just going to call fn. And what is this function pointer going to take in? It's going to take in essentially what we were doing down here, right? So if we go right here. Yeah, so it's essentially going to take in this type a function pointer that takes in a draw function because we're using that in the for loops. So we basically use a t and then we use a style, and we need that parameterized so that we can just sort of have it all be automatic, which we'll say this equals, whoops. Okay, there we go. So I believe this is I might have to change this from type name to something else, but I think that's the right syntax and everything. So basically we just say, oh, we don't need to declare the name here. I think. I might be wrong on this. I'm going to Google this real quick because that'll be better. So template function parameter. Okay, let's see. So we basically type name F, do operation F, but I want a default parameter. Let's see if they talk about that. So, oh, I guess we could just type def it. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just say type def t draw, and we'll say like this is I don't know if I can do that. So type def t draw, which is basically this. Yeah, I'm not sure this is going to work. This would be easy with like inheritance and stuff, but I kind of want to stay away from that just because I want to explore different methods for solving problems. Like, because if I was using inheritance, I could have all of these animations derived from one base class, which I don't know. I might do that actually, because you can still have plain old data in C++ with inheritance. If we look up the definition of POD in C++, you can inherit from stuff. Well, let's go to their documentation. Yeah, POD type. Let's see where they have. So it's an aggregate type. All non-stack members are POD. Has no member, no user-defined copy, no user-defined destructor, and then all of this stuff. Trivial type, and it's a standard layout type. So if we look at these definitions too, standard layout type has no virtual functions, no virtual base classes. Okay, so it might not be POD, but it would be trivial or standard layout, which would be good too. And QApples, inheritance is low-key kind of cringe. Embrace composition. Okay, I will try and do that. And Langors, use alias with the word using instead of type def. Alias with the word using instead of type def. Okay, I'll check that in a second too. And also, QApples, you just reminded me too. Thank you. So we don't have to use inheritance. We can use a union. So we can basically say union, and we'll call this animation or something. And then we can basically have anim type, and then we have actually, I guess this should be a structure. And then we have a union inside the structure. And this is basically what we're using. So then if I go down here, we can go like that. And then I can basically say Bezier 1 animation. And then we can do that. And then we can type def this as, and then AS, not ASS. So, and then we can basically say, like, if we had a function and we had an animation, then we could say anim.as is basically what I want to happen. So I think I need to do something a little bit. I'm going to look at some old code because I have some old code that does this, and it's really nice. So if I just go here. But yeah, good idea. So then we can get rid of some of the template stuff, and hopefully this will be a little bit easier to deal with. So basically, if I go to, this is way back, right here. Yes, I think it's in here. So this was when I was following along with Bob Nystrom's book. And it's an amazing book, by the way. If you haven't read it, you should. So I noticed AKDev, I think, or no, Kitty Cat, I think, in the Discord server. He's been reading through it, and it's an amazing book. So I'm glad he's reading it. And I don't need type def here. Yeah, I think you're right on that. And composition is poggers. I agree. By the way, does anyone know what poggers means? Because I would like to know what this stuff means. I have no idea. So if you're aware, put it in the chat and that would be good. Okay, I think it's in common.h actually. Nope. Chunk.h, maybe it's here. Okay, so this has an opcode. Struct. Nope, this isn't it either. Boomer moment. Yes, I know. It's like, I don't know. I'm not even that old. I'm only 23. So it's just that the language changes. I was never into like all the different popular stuff back then too. I guess not even popular stuff, but just like the different vernacular that people used and everything. I just sort of didn't follow that. So yeah. Okay, I know I have something in here that does what I want it to do. Okay, I think it's in here. Yeah, there we go. So basically we have a type def struct, and then we have a type, and then we have a union. We say as. Okay, yeah, so that, oh, I just don't have to type def it. Okay. It's just an anonymous union. There we go. So we can say .as .Bezier1. Okay, cool. So this is what I was trying to do. So basically, if we do this, we can add in all the types, and then we can say we want to use this animation, and this is the type we're going to use it as, and it'll sort of figure everything out for us. Okay, so then we'll add in this guy, and we'll add in the rest of them as well, which I'll just go into here and sort of steal this. So then we'll use this. And we will add in the rest of it. Sort of the boring parts of this type of stuff, I guess, right? So, and I thought it meant play of the game. Well, that's what POG means, right? So what's poggers? So POG is play of the game, but then I'm like, okay, what's the other part? And text. And Essie would you have used GitHub if it wasn't for sharing with others? I don't have it myself. No, I use GitHub just because it's good, just in case you break stuff, which I have done before, and GitHub has saved me. So like, I try to be pretty good about my commits and stuff too. This isn't a good example because this is earlier when I didn't really use it as much. But like if you look at Coco, I have 254 commits. I try to be pretty descriptive with them most of the time. Like sometimes it's just fix some bugs and stuff. But for the bigger stuff, yeah, I try to sort of describe what I did, and it's pretty helpful, especially when you're looking through and you're trying to figure out where you want to go back to. But yeah. And tree, it's a form of emote that shows the reaction of surprise and excite using a surprised frog image. Okay. Copied from the internet. Wow. Okay. So poggers usually means epic moment. Yeah, I knew it meant that, like, but I wasn't sure if it actually stood for something, kind of like Pog does. So interesting stuff. And I guess I'm not as boomer if none of you guys really had the definition offhand too. So, or we're all boomers, you know, who knows? Okay, so then we can have this animation type, and this is sort of like poor man's polymorphism, right? We basically just say the type, and we got this as variable, and we can sort of do stuff from there. So then if we go back into animation.cpp, we can make this way easier because we don't even have to really use tuples or anything. We can sort of store this in one structure, which I want to do because this will make it so that we can order animations in terms of like the order they're drawn on screen from back to front, and we don't have to worry about them overlapping. So like one of the problems I had is like if you had a filled circle animation and a box animation, filled circle would always draw behind the box. But if you can order them by the direction you draw them, it shouldn't matter. And you can sort of do arbitrary orderings and all that sort of stuff. So yeah. And I guess it's a thing with the English language, adding gers to the end of an adjective. That's true. Let's face it, everyone who likes programming is a nerd and a boomer. That is true too. But I mean, we're the nerds and the boomers, I guess. But technically, like Reddit and all that stuff is very programmer centric, I feel like. Like a lot of programmers go to those types of sites. So I feel like we should be up to date with all the different language that people are using, right? I don't know. Okay, so anyways, we'll just have a std vector of animation. And this will be our animations. And now everything will be so much easier because we can just sort of do this. And let me just make sure I'm not going to have a name collision anywhere. So we got anim type. All this stuff. I'm going to put this next to that thing because it's going to be easy. So, oh, actually, I need that up there. Never mind. Well, actually, I can have it right here, and we can sort of do all that stuff. Okay, cool. Yeah. So we got all this, and then there's got to be a way where we can just automate everything then. And then we'll also have a static std vector of style. and this will be our styles. And I'll use the same naming convention that I've been using, so we'll prefix these with an M. And I could wrap this in a structure. Maybe I will do that for you, Tree, in a little bit. But yeah. And I thought boomers were stereotypically not tech savvy. That's true too. Yeah, so we can't be boomers, guys, because we actually know tech. Okay, so then we have this stuff. We've got a vector of animations, which are like our poor man's polymorphic type. And we got this vector of styles that sort of goes hand in hand with that. So now we should be able to just change all of this to void add animation. And then we can just do an animation reference and a style. And this will be so much better. Okay, I do like this. Then we can get rid of all of this and have everything be way easier. So this is also a good point I'd like to mention too. This is why you code stuff first. Because if you code stuff first, then you see these patterns emerge. And once you see the patterns there, you're like, oh, I know exactly what like design pattern. I'm going to use whatever you want to call it. It's not really a design pattern. It's just, hey, I notice I'm repeating this a crap ton of times. Let me abstract that out into this structure instead of what some people do, which is they start with, I want this object-oriented design paradigm that's going to be like, oh, I'm going to have this parent, this child relationship, blah, 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 blah. And then you get this massive, complicated piece of garbage. Okay. And it's like, it doesn't help anyone. That's why you should always start with the simplest solution. And once you see the patterns emerge, then you're like, oh, okay, I know how I can make this simpler. And then you sort of abstract that pattern out. You should never start from the high level going down low level. You should start low, go up high. Always, always, always. But yeah, OOP is cringe. I agree, Tree. And where's the coffee cup while streaming? I think I only did coffee cup like once while streaming, honestly. I got water. But yeah. And basically, I try not to drink coffee too much just because I like to not be dependent on it. But I do like a good cup of coffee. So I go every now and then, you know. And game programming pattern book I recommend is great. Yeah. And I think that's also interesting too, because I would be very interested to see what Bob Nystrom has to say about patterns in general, because this book is basically based on that, except, yeah, so he's saying design patterns, but I think there's a keynote in what he's doing. He's sort of going from his stuff where he started low level, and he's like, these are the patterns I've noticed I use. And this is a great book, but you'll notice too, a lot of these patterns aren't like the design patterns that you see in the, Ganga 4 book and stuff, like double buffer. You're like, oh, that's just like something you do. And that's what I think a pattern should be. It's just like, oh yeah, this is just something we do because that's how it works. And yeah, like event queues, that type of stuff. That's very basic stuff that I think is a pattern people should follow. And data structures. I think all data structures are evidence of patterns, data structures and algorithms, right? These are the two keystones of the patterns that are in a programmer's toolbox. But then you have the people who have taken it too far, like Ganga 4, and they've tried to abstract this to a point of unusability, right? They say this is the elements of reusable object-oriented software, but truly it's the elements of unusable object-oriented software, because then you just get to a point where you're like, we're in space now and I can't understand what's going on anymore. So yeah, I think sometimes you just take it to extremes, but if you take it to an appropriate level, it's good. And people tend to overuse OOP so much. Yes, it's true, because we've sort of been inbred with that, I guess. I don't know how you'd say that. Ingrained. And Hilbert Curve, you said redesign patterns, elements of reusable object-oriented design. Yeah, I just pulled that up. I haven't actually read the book, so maybe I should read it before I start judging it. But from what I've seen of other people, like I've watched a lot of people explaining the patterns that are explained in there, and it doesn't click with me. So, but yeah. And I see Woods, all that is not basic stuff when you just start off programming. Yeah, and that's the thing too. I think Casey Muratori, I'm gonna pull this up real quick and we can watch this, because yeah, it's only 7 minutes. We'll check this out real quick, because I really do like Casey Muratori, and I think that he has some good comments on this type of stuff too. So let me know if you guys can hear this all right. Can you hear that all right too? So if you can't, just let me know.
So the advice that I would have depends on the person. So if you are somebody who...
Oh, you can't hear it? Here, let's go. Bring that up. Yeah, I've got to like work with my desktop audio and stuff and fix it, but...
Move on to things like data-oriented design.
Okay, let me know if you guys can hear it now.
So the advice that I would have depends on the person. So
Okay, cool.
if you are somebody who learned to program and then learned object-oriented programming and it messed you up, then what I would say is just go back to the old way you programmed and start again from there. That's what I did. And it works really well. And just focus on sort of programming the old school way where you just sat down and tried to get something to work, and then add on to that the compression-oriented steps where you go like, oh, okay, now I'm going to pull some stuff out, and now I'm going to try and make some things that like, you know, are repeatable things that I see myself doing often. I'm going to make repeatable pieces out of those, right?
Yeah, so this is why I love Casey Muratori, one of the reasons. But yeah, I'll paste this in the chat real quick for you guys if you want to check it out later. But that is exactly the same thing that I think. Like basically, you start with the simple stuff, you abstract from there, and it always leads to better stuff. And this is how I did it. Because Essie Woods, you said that's sort of like a higher level programming thing. When I first started learning programming, I didn't know about any of that stuff, but I sort of went from this pattern intuitively. And so I think that's the way you should always approach things. Start with simple and then abstract. But yeah, functional programming is the best in my opinion. I've tried actual functional programming. So like I tried learning Haskell and stuff, and it's a bit verbose and very hard to pick up. So I like functional styles a little bit better, but I wouldn't say I'm like pure functional language type of guy. So I do like some object orientedness, like this type of stuff. But I think unions are things that should be available in like Java and C# but aren't, and they would help with that stuff. And C# too is also going, I think Java too, towards more functional styles with like the map functions that they're adding, like link in C# is totally functional. So it's interesting stuff. Anyway, so sorry about that massive tangent. Yeah, and I do like functional style as well. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so we can basically abstract all of this stuff because you'll notice that we were basically doing the same thing in all of these too. And yeah, these are basically all the same function, which is good, right? So this is the same. This is exactly the same. Exactly the same. I did add some stuff up here, but we don't really have to do it this way. I can probably change the way this works a little bit, which we will. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out all of these, and then we'll copy one of the implementations that's like sort of the same across the board. So do that, and then we can copy this guy. And if we look back in here, we just have this add animation, and this is sort of going to be what we're going to do. So we'll have a void add animation ref style ref, and then we'll do that, and we'll do that, and I'm going to keep the style ref const because I did do that as a design choice. Yeah, so that's const there. That way we're pushing back copies of all of this stuff because I don't want to modify anything. So I just sort of copy all the data and just push it back, which I do like a little bit better. Okay, and then we can abstract a lot of this stuff that was common to all of these animations too, which is another good thing because I did want to do that as well. Basically, they all have this duration, delay, and start time. Like this variable, these three variables are in here, in here, in here, in here. So like they all have it. So if we copy that out, then we can basically just go down here and add them right here as well. And a union too. I think I've explained this before. So if you guys don't understand that, I'll sort of explain it a little bit better in C++ how it works. But yeah. Okay, so we can do that, and then we can basically just remove them from these guys. So now duration, delay, start time. We can remove that. Duration, delay, start time. We will remove that. I think it's in here too. Or at least I thought it was. But it is there now because of the way we've refactored things. So start time, get rid of that. Delay, get rid of that. and it doesn't have a duration, but that's kind of fine. So start time, delay, and duration, get rid of those. Get rid of those. So now we're kind of getting down to the core essence of what these things should contain, which is good, instead of all the cruft that had built up. And then if we go back into here, now we're good here. We can just change this to M animations and this to M styles. And that should do what we want it to do. Cool. And Langors, this API is similar concept to how Windows API works, if you remember correctly. That's kind of cool. I've used Windows API, but I don't really, like, I just sort of look up the functions that I need them. So maybe I subconsciously picked up sort of how they do things. But yeah, cool. So we've got this thing now. And if they did do that too, it's because they were using C originally, which is, this is the C way of doing like polymorphism type stuff, which I think is still a very good way to do it. But yeah. And SE Woods, did I say it's going to add multiplayer to the Minecraft clone? I would like to. I've never worked with, well, I've worked with multiplayer a little bit, but not extensively. And I haven't done it in C++. So I definitely want to experiment with it. And I think these streams will be a perfect place to do that. So we will definitely play around with that and see how it goes. Okay, so we've basically got all this stuff. And we should be good, pretty much. If I go down, oh, wow. Eddie Dev, you're now following. I got to turn down my volume a little bit. That scared me. I forgot about that. But thank you for following. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we've got this add interpolation, pop animation. We're going to sort of change the way this all works. If anyone has any ideas, okay, so what I'm thinking about the next thing, and if you have ideas, please let me know. How do we easily dispatch according to an animation type? So basically, I want to be able to dispatch and say, oh, go to this specific function for this animation. I have some ideas. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah. SE Woods. They are about to chop down a forest here and set up a large server center. Huh. Where are you at? Like, are you in USA or are you somewhere else, SE Woods? Or what state if you are in the USA too? Because that will be interesting to know. Okay, so we've got all this stuff, and we should be able to change this thing down here now, too, to make this way easier. Okay, so now we don't have to do any sort of template stuff. We can just sort of do it all here. And you're in Norway. Oh, okay, cool. I believe I've wanted to go to Norway before. Is Norway... Is that the one where they did, like, the Lord of the Rings, where they filmed it, or is that something else that I'm thinking of? Well, no matter what, this is beautiful. So I definitely do want to go here now. This is insane. So that's pretty cool. Okay, that's New Zealand. Yeah, New Zealand I've always wanted to go to as well. Over the summer, me and my friends went to this place in Montana, and it was pretty insane. Like, the water really does look like this, and it's incredible. So if you guys like nature, definitely go visit some cool nature parks, because there's so many great places to visit. But yeah. Norway looks cool, though. Definitely want to go there sometime. And the Gel Mega, hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing all right today. Okay, so now we can change all of this stuff, and we can remove all this. And we can just say for int I equals 0 until I is less than, and actually we don't even have to do this. We could just do a for each iteration. So we'll just do this, and then we'll say draw animation, anim. And so I guess right here, we could sort of have a dispatch function to choose which one we want to do. So I guess that's what our dispatch, this is what, so we'll do static void draw animation. This will take in an animation ref and a style ref, because we do need to do that as well. And this should be const, because we shouldn't be changing this inside of here ever. There's just no reason. Oh, and that's why I was using an index. Okay, yeah. So we'll have to change this back to I equals 0 until I is less than, actually, let's keep it this way. Nah, okay. I'll do that refactoring a little bit later. I was going to change it to like a structure and stuff, but for now this works fine. So animations.size, I++, and then we'll say anim equals that, and then we'll say style ref equals mstyles.at. I'm using the at here because we don't really know if it's going to be within the bounds, and that's just a good habit to have if you don't know for sure. And Jomega, so what is this thing I'm working on? It's a math animation library. So I used it in my last video on YouTube. I would demonstrate it right now, but we've got a bunch of ugly errors that I have to fix before it'll work again. But yeah, we'll show it once I finish refactoring this. So yeah. And Essie Woods, I know I've heard they filmed something like that in Norway, but Lord of the Rings, but not Lord of the Rings, believe. Okay, yeah. Norway looked beautiful. So I'm kind of jealous. That's a lot of cool mountains and stuff. But I imagine Wi-Fi and everything probably isn't as good, or I have no idea. So inside of here, though, we'll basically have this switch on animation type. I'm just going to copy this one. And this will be animation.anim type, and I guess this is just type. And then we will basically just sort of dispatch it to the correct draw function based on this. So we'll say like draw Bezier 1 animation in here, and we'll say animation.as.bezier1, and then we'll give it the style, and we'll get rid of that. Say draw Bezier 2. And there's probably a better way to do this. So if you have any ideas, let me know. We can automate this even more, but I think this is probably the best way to do something like this. So this will be animation as bitmap and style. This one will be draw parametric as parametric and style. This one will be draw text, animation .as.text. Oh, actually, I just thought of it. Okay. This is a good idea. Okay, I thought of how we can automate this. So in object-oriented programming, how would you automate this? You would use an interface, and every different subclass would implement that interface. Well, we can do the same thing in C++ and C. Well, I guess C. C++, you can actually do an interface. But here, we can do the same thing. We can have a animation. So we basically have a function pointer. So let's do this. We'll say typedef function pointer. This is going to be a void function that takes in, and we'll call this draw animation function pointer, and call that draw anim. I don't know if that matters, but yeah. And then this will take in an animation, ref animation, and I'll forward declare that in a minute, and then a const style ref style, and we'll just have a struct animation, so that's forward declared. And I think I don't need that. No, I think I do need that. If we do that, will that work? Maybe I can just do that and that. Yeah, I think that's how I do it. I'm just gonna go, okay, yeah, so we basically just do it that way. Cool. Okay, anyways, so we have this function pointer, and then we basically just initialize each animation with a function pointer, and that is its interface, right? And Jomega, you said, sorry, let me catch up on chat real quick. At least something interesting to watch on Twitch while working on your game engine. Just starting on it though. It's even called the engine. Cool. Currently using C++20. Nice. So you can do interface using concepts in that one. Yeah, I'm not big on, we tried template meta programming a little bit earlier, and I'm still not that good with that. So yeah. And Essie Woods Wi-Fi is just fine here. That's good to hear too. So we'll have a draw animation function. And I like to prefix these, postfix these with fn, just so that you know it's a function. Draw animation. Okay, cool. So then we can do that, and we reduce this to just draw animation. Instead of that, we can say anim.draw animation, anim style. Isn't that nice? Now we have done OOP with C style structs and unions. Pretty cool, right? So yeah, that works good. How do we set up the draw functions though? I'll probably just do that inside of each animation implementation and stuff too, just to get that all working right. Yeah. So these builder objects I have will sort of implement those, and we can go from there. And Jomega says, well, you said concepts are a major improvement on template metaprogramming. You can just use it to say you need these functions and the compiler does the rest. Nice. Yeah, I haven't really delved too much into C++ 20, but I have heard good things about it. I've watched a couple of the C++ conference things just to sort of get an idea of what it's going to be doing. So it looks interesting. Just haven't used it yet. Yeah. Okay, so this translate animations, we'll sort of parameterize this stuff too. For now, I'm just going to comment it out just so that we can get this compiling and make sure that this all works properly. Okay, so this is pop animation. We will also parameterize this. Actually, we don't even need to parameterize this because we can now do this really easily. So the way this worked is it's literally doing the same thing here, you can see. But now we can just say animations. Ah, this is so nice. I'm so glad I can get rid of this. Dot start time. So basically when I pop an animation, I just set its start time in the sequence of animations to be float max so that it just never runs, because float max is like 10 to the 38th. So I should never reach that, hopefully. But yeah. And then this we will just change to that, and then we can get rid of this switch statement. Oh, this is why I love refactoring. You can get rid of all of that nasty stuff and just have this, and it just works, which is awesome. And Jomega, you're also making your own engine so you can use C++ features that you can't use at work because it's a commercial engine. Cool. So you work at a game studio? That is interesting. If you're allowed to tell us what game studio and stuff, or is it like a home built studio type thing and all that? And what game are you working on, if you're allowed to tell us that too? So I use some C++ in my work too, but they use a very different style than I like. So yeah, Crytek, dude, that is pretty awesome. So I've thought about applying to like Epic and stuff, but I kind of want to stay in Nashville. So there's no good game engines in Nashville. And I figured this way I get to like work on my side projects without having to like do game programming at my day job too. So I can kind of separate the two. But yeah, I'm not sure how that feels when you're like working at games at your work and then you also work at them afterwards and everything. But yeah, that is really cool though. So, oh, cool. And you just subscribed. Whoa, thanks, Eddie Dev. I appreciate it. That's awesome. Okay, so we've got all this. This is much nicer and stuff too. And yes, play of the game. I agree. Okay, draw filled box animation. So then we can sort of create these. We can make these like specifically dispatch. So now this is just gonna be an animation. And then we'll say as filled box dot fill direction. And we can sort of change up all this stuff too. So we will fix all of this up very quickly. This is very hacky code because I wrote this quickly and didn't have time to fix it, which is why I'm doing it now. So let's go ahead and we'll make this filled box dot size, and same thing here. I guess what I could do instead of doing this, because this will just be easier in the long run, let's say call this animation. We'll call this generic animation. And then we'll do that, and we'll do that, and that, and then we'll say, oh, cool. The Jomega is now following too. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. And do you clean the rooms at Crytek? No, I hope not. Since it's a hobby, you turned it into a job, don't mind. And with your own engine, you can do your own stuff. Okay, cool. So that's kind of how you juggle both the different things. Yep. And it's been way too long since you've been at the office because you work from home. That's nice too. Working from home is pretty cool. It can get hard though. Like I've been sitting in this chair for the past like 80 hours, I swear. So I feel like I live in this chair right now, but yeah. And let's go ahead and then we can say animation, or actually we'll say filled box animation anim equals generic animation dot as dot filled box. What the heck is the generic keyword too? I have never seen that until I just typed that in. So I wonder what that does. Okay, and then we can change this to that, and we can fix this up too, and we should be good. Cool. So we'll sort of do this pattern for each of these draw functions to kind of abstract that stuff out. So, whoops, not that pattern. So I'll kind of grab that, and we'll paste him here. And then we'll change that to that as, and we'll change that and this stuff. And then we can change this to, oh, I have to change this type too. And Jomega, also at work, you're specifically a rendering engineer. Awesome. That is really cool. So you also touch things in your own engine and like to do everything from scratch if possible. So when you say from scratch, I'm just curious because I've tried from like complete scratch, and SE Woods, thank you so much. That's awesome, dude. When you say from scratch, I'm just curious because I tried doing from scratch, you know, where I basically just started from the Win32 API up, but I was like, okay, I just don't want to deal with all this. So I eventually just used like GLFW for window handling and like Glad because I didn't want to do like the OpenGL type function loading and all that stuff by myself. So yeah, it includes custom containers because of how you do memory management. Yes. So I do like doing memory management on my own also. It's just like for more basic things like window management and that type of stuff, I tend to kind of throw that to a third party because, you know, why not? But that's cool. If you do font rendering, I would also be really interested to know how you do that because font rendering is something that's been like the bane of my existence for forever. I just hate it. So, and you preferred to just use Win32. That's pretty epic. Yeah. Okay. So we got this animation, and then we call this generic animation. Then we can just say as filled circle. Cool. And same, I hope you're saying that to the font rendering. Font rendering just sucks, man. It's just no easy way. Okay, what's this saying? Unnamed. Expected member name. This should be filled circle, which is a filled circle animation. Okay, cool. That was just Visual Studio being slow. Okay, let's go up here. And okay, this is going to be a little bit different because, yeah, this is going to be a little bit different because I need to change this up a little bit. For now, I will just do this, and then we'll figure that out afterwards. And just sort of catching up on the chat real quick. You're quite far away from font rendering, still working on containers and memory stuff. It's only been a week since you started. Okay, yeah, no worries. Hopefully throughout the streams, we can sort of talk, and you can give us updates on your engine too. And if you have a GitHub repo and you're making the code public and stuff, that'd be cool too. Every now and then I'll take a look through some other people's codes, and maybe we can do that on stream too. Just kind of explore how you guys are doing some things. Possible streaming idea. So let me know if you want me to check out some of your guys' code. We can do that like every now and then and just sort of go through it. So let's do this animation, and if you guys have like private repos and stuff too, I totally get that, and you want to keep your code to yourself, totally fine. So. Oh, and you do have it. Okay, cool. You can see how little is done yet. I'll click on this very quickly just so that we can check it. So this is probably still more than most of what I've done. Well, okay. It's probably still a pretty good amount, I bet. Yeah, so you got some benchmarks. Okay, yeah. So this definitely isn't just a little bit. Okay, so I'm just curious, kind of, you're just throwing everything in there. I'm not going to look too deep into it because I'll probably like not understand some of it just because I'm still not the best C++ programmer, but that is cool. Okay, so we're inside of here, and this is Bezier 2 animation, so let's go ahead and copy that. And we will just do that. And this is going to be Bezier 2 and Bezier 2. And I have to change this to generic animation. Okay, I'm going to focus on this for a few minutes, guys. So if I don't see your chat, that's probably why. But once we get this done, we'll probably be in a pretty good place. Cool. So you got the Bezier 2 done. Go up here, change this to animation, generic animation. Change this up, change that up, and then we'll do animation anim, and I'll move that down, equals that as Bezier 1, not const qualified. Okay. Sometimes Visual Studio gives me weird. Okay, a reference type of this, not const qualified, cannot be initialized with Oh, I just have to change this. Whoops. So this should be Bezier 1 animation. Okay. And then we'll go up to here. Change that up. Change that up. Copy that. Paste it. And then we'll go bitmap. And anim equals this as bitmap. This one is the text animation, so this one will do that, and I'm going to change this to be non-const just because that's how all the other ones are. So we'll say generic animation. This is one of the parts that I unfortunately can't automate because these do have to be unique per animation. So we'll call this anim equals that dot as dot text. Okay, cool. And we'll have to do that. I'll show you guys the text animations too in a little bit, just so that you can sort of see what I have. It's definitely not anything like very good. It's just sort of the most basic stuff you can get. So yeah. Okay, and then we'll change that too. Cool. So we got that. And then parametric animations. I'm going to change that to be non-const as well. And this could be generic. Copy that, paste it. Right here too. And then I'll go down here and we'll say parametric ref anim equals this dot as parametric. Okay, cool. So I think we have most of the errors done. Okay, so I've got this translate stuff. I'm gonna take these out for now too. Pop animation though, we should be able to refactor that. So I'm just gonna remove this and we'll start removing code pretty soon too. Okay, so with pop animation, this is just gonna take anim type, delay, fade out time. Okay, so that's all good still. And we'll go into here and this is all fine. So we just create this pop animation thing, which is something I used to keep track of it. And we can get rid of this. We can just say pop.index equals that -1, which is so much simpler than all of that garbage that I had before. So that is good to have. And then up here, interpolation. Yes, I'm going to copy that or paste that, comment that for now. Okay, cool. And then we can get rid of all of this stuff. I'm pretty confident that we should be able to just do that. Get rid of all of this stuff. And now we're left with a much nicer thing, and hopefully it'll be even nicer too pretty soon. For now, we've got that. We should have no errors. I'm going to get a bunch of errors though that we'll have to fix up too in a minute. Okay, and you're getting close to 5 lines of code at the moment. That's a pretty good size. I would say that's definitely not nothing. And an 800 line unit test for a dynamic array. Oh, wow. I started building my own data structures and stuff, but I kept running into different issues and I was like, I'm just going to use like the standard because, yeah. But I respect that. Using your own data structures is fun to do every now and then. And, well, he's not looking at the chat spam. And since you said you're getting used to C++, you found my YouTube, and so I'm coming from Java. Yeah, I am coming from Java. I have been coding in C++ for probably like 3 years now. Like you can see some of my earliest stuff on my GitHub in C++ is from quite a while ago, but they're not good because like I came from Java, so I used new everywhere and didn't realize that I was gonna just use a crap ton of RAM and kill my computer. So yeah, like I've come a long way since then, but I think I've been using it since like, okay, yeah. So this is, it's probably somewhere down here, which is like one of my first big C++ projects. So this is like a semi-big C++ project I did, which was also a Minecraft clone. And there's something else in here. What's it called? I called it like Minecraft clone or something. I don't know. I've got it in here somewhere. It's just Minecraft OpenGL. Okay, yeah. So this is like the very first version I did when I was sort of using it. And this is from 2020. So I guess that's probably about how long I've been programming. I probably started that in like 2019. So 2 or 3 years. Yeah. And what do I use at work? Me specifically, I use C# and C++. So we're in the process of porting C# code base to C++, or C++ code base to C#, and the C++ code base is like 20 years old, and it's crazy. So, yeah. And Tree, you come from C# and can relate to using new everywhere. Yes. And Jomega, you've been using C++ for 7 to 8 years, which was your first language you learned while in secondary school. Cool. What is secondary school too? So I know that's like a thing across the world. In America, we have like elementary school, which is when you're like around 10 years old is the oldest. Then you have middle school, which is like up to 12. Okay, middle school. Thank you, Hilbert Curve. Yeah. And then we got high school and then college or university is what you guys usually call college. So 12 to 18. Okay, so it's a little bit more than middle school. So that's like middle school and high school in America. Okay, cool. So we got all this. Let's start fixing all of these errors very quickly too. So I got rid of this for now, so I'm just going to get rid of that there. We can go down here. So this is all going to be kind of mad at me with these animation builder things that I have. So we could just have one big animation builder, but I think I like having it like this more. So the one thing I'm going to change though is this is going to return an animation, as are all of these. And I'm going to sort of fix things from there. So let's go ahead and change all this up and all of this up. Okay, cool. And I'm going to go into here and we'll have to fix all of this up. So we'll change this to as parametric and change that as well. Okay, so what's this saying now? No default constructor of animation can be referenced. It's deleted function. This is just a structure. I don't think this needs a default constructor. Or is it saying something else? What's it saying? Okay. The default constructor math animation cannot be referenced is a deleted function. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Is it because I have a union in here? Not sure. Oh. And okay, you guys are talking about school and stuff too. Depends on the country. Secondary school is 15 to 18 and the rest is primary. Okay. Name of college and uni differs between countries. Yes. Yeah. US we call college. I don't know if I think uni is the same thing as college in US, but that could be different. Okay, what's going on with this thing though? This is just a structure, so it shouldn't have any problems with the default constructor. Yeah, because it shouldn't matter. So is this just complaining about something else? Probably. Okay, anyways, for now though, I'll ignore that and then we'll get back to it. Okay, so this is going to be as parametric, and I'll copy that for this stuff, for that stuff, and I'll probably refactor this as well in a little bit, just so that we can have that work a little bit better. Okay, what's this saying? So this cannot be referenced. It is a deleted function. Yeah, so it's getting mad at me. It's like saying, that's weird. It's saying that this doesn't have a constructor, which is fine because it should just be a structure. It should have like a default constructor and default copy constructor and everything, as far as I'm aware. And this is just a for declaration, so I don't think that should be a problem. But is there something else that I'm missing? Possibly. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out in a minute. Okay, wait. Having a union. Thank you, Jomega. Default deletes the constructor as the compiler does not know how to initialize it since the members take up the same memory. Okay, so I'm kind of fine with that though. These should all be plain old data. Like I don't have anything special. glmvec2 is just a POD. So do I just have to initialize it myself somehow? We'll Google this real quick. Well, because I know I'm delayed from the stream. Okay, so C++ initialize structure with union. I need my own constructor. Okay, so I can't just, that's kind of annoying, but The initializer list always have one member. Okay, so you just have to initialize it like this. Okay, so can I do this then as animation equals that? Nope. So I can't just like default initialize it like that either. Okay. The initializer list must have only one member, which initializes the first member of a union. Okay. When initializing a struct, the first initializer, let's just see their examples here real quickly. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like you can still, this is C++, right? Or is this, no, this is C. Is it? What's this? It's on C++ reference, but yeah. Okay, so you said nope, as the bracket constructor at a declaration calls the default constructor. Okay. And I can't see your name who just followed. Lunar was here. Thank you. Yeah. So that calls the default constructor, which is why it's not working. So would I just have to fill it up like this and then just say like 0 for delay and do that type of stuff? And just sort of fill all the parameters manually? I think, let me see. So we got all this. I'll just do this. And we'll comment that out. Okay, so we got the type. I'll just do parametric. So that should do that. Start time, which is 0. Delay, duration, function, which I'll just do as null pointer for now. And then union. And get rid of that. Okay. No, I don't think this is going to work. Okay. I'm going to have to probably just add in a constructor here, which I really don't want to do. So if I did that, yeah, now we get this is fine. But I don't want to have a constructor here if I can avoid it. You cannot default construct a union. Okay, yeah. So I guess we'll have to have this. I would prefer not to, but yeah, if you know of any ways, Gelmega or anyone else, to avoid this, because I kind of want to avoid constructors as much as possible, that would be cool to know. So if I just go up here though for now, and this is inside of this namespace, we can just do that. And this is going to say, cannot be referenced, it's deleted function. Well, I have it right here, so should be fine. Yep, this is in the correct namespace. Okay, I think that's just Visual Studio being slow, hopefully. Should be fine. We'll keep going for now. And then I'll just change all this stuff up. Okay, Gelmega, you said, while the member are just POD, the compiler has created default constructors for them, so it doesn't know what member it should initialize. Okay, so I'll probably do some more research on this in my off time. Thank you for the help, though. And see, like, if I can just learn more about this stuff and everything, too. But hopefully this should fix this for now. Because I did add this constructor. And what's this saying now? Okay, it's still saying it can't be referenced. It's a deleted function. Oh, the destructor. Okay, so I just have to overload that as well. And I can't default it. So we'll just do this for now. Okay, and then we should be good here now. Okay, whatever. Yeah, so I'll just leave it this way for now, and then I'll hopefully fix it in a little bit. Okay, why does it not like this one now too? Function animation cannot be referenced is a delete. Okay, so I'm gonna have to do all the constructors. So this is why I try to avoid constructors in the first place, because I don't like having to implement all of these. And then I think this is just, okay, yeah, so that was just the copy constructor. So I'll go into here. Okay, and then, oh, I guess that makes sense, yeah, because you can't copy byte. Well, it's all plain old data, so copying bytes shouldn't matter too much. Okay, anyways, Yeah, I'll keep it like this for now. Well, the member just POD. Okay, yeah, in the union. The compiler has created default constructors for them, so it doesn't know which member it should initialize in the union. Yes, yep. Okay, so all of that is fixed for now, though, and then we'll change this to as text. This will be that right there, too. Fix all of this stuff up very quickly. And then this should just return an animation. Okay, cool. I like how you have a video called Why C++ Scares the Crap Out of Me. Yeah. That was when I was learning about all the copy constructors and all that stuff. And I was just like, why do I have to know all of this for something so simple? But yeah, I would program in C if they had templates, but C does not have templates. So, you know, I got to use C++ for that type of stuff. Okay, so we'll call this as bitmap. And I'll do that. There. There. And there. We should be good. Okay, and that. Once I get this done, though, we should basically be good to go. So this is going to be as a Bezier 1. And we can change this up right here. Cool. And I guess I'm so used to C++, that's completely normal for me. Yeah. If you've been programming with it since like when you were younger or as your first language, it does make more sense probably. I learned JavaScript as my first language. So kind of started with that and then went from there to Java and Python and then like C++, C type stuff. Yeah. And you can still write in the C style and just add templates around it. Yeah, and that's what I try and do, Tree, is just like sort of use C style programming with templates because I do like that. And you started with C++ when you were around 16. Okay, nice. Yeah, that's when I started with JavaScript. So not the best language to start with because it doesn't teach you very many principles, but it was good and it was what I needed at the time. So, you know. And I'm at C++ now, so I guess that's the good thing, right? I eventually switched over to what I needed. Okay, let's go ahead and I just deleted that line on accident. Grab that stuff and we go to here. And you're 23. Oh, cool. I'm 23 also. Nice. And have you ever created a mobile app? I have created a mobile app using Unity, and I've done a little bit of stuff with like Android Studio, but it's not my favorite. I just don't prefer mobile stuff in general. JavaScript, yikes. JavaScript isn't that bad. It gets a bad rap, but once they started trying to add too much to it, it just got way worse. And every time I go back to it, I forget how to program in it. So that's probably not good also. But yeah, this is filled circle. And you started with a nerfed version of Pascal. Yeah, it's like, I'm sure we all started with weird stuff, but like whatever gets you into programming, right? And then you can go from there and get better stuff, hopefully. I can't type today. There we go. And we'll do that. Fix that up too. To be honest, Java is also eh. I agree. The more I've started using C++, I do enjoy it. Like C style of C++ too. But yeah. Java is still good though. If you want to prototype stuff quickly, I feel like, I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted on it because Java was like my first big language that I started learning, and it's what I started my channel with too. So, and SE Woods, you've gone through JavaScript as a solo learn. Yes, that's probably the best way to do JavaScript, and don't listen to anyone else because nobody knows what they're doing when it comes to JavaScript. So, yeah. And at least Microsoft said Java made it better and called it C#. C# is good, but I had a whole rant in my last video about stuff I don't like about C# just because it does bad stuff. I don't know. There's like properties and stuff I feel like are good in concept, but they really hide what's going on. And so it's really hard to intuit what code is doing in C#. And I really don't like that. But it's nice in concept, I feel like. Yeah. And if you think OOP is gross, look at the Java collections library. I have not looked too deeply into that. Okay, and Java's the best. Anyone thinks else, kick 'em, Gabe. Nah. We are appreciative of all language lovers here, guys. We accept everyone, except for JavaScript, because that's just too much, okay? Okay, let's go. So that should be good now. I think we should be good there. Let's try and compile this and see what happens. Yeah, doesn't look like it worked quite so well, but we're getting pretty close. Brain F is your favorite language. That's nice. It does look very fun to program in, doesn't it? Okay, so we can change all of these to add animation. So let's just go through and we'll say Control F that inside of our project. And we'll just change that to add animation. Replace all. Whoa. Okay, I don't know what these logs are, but I really don't care about those. Don't save that. Okay. And then we'll do the same thing here. Replace all. And it keeps taking me to this log file. Let's just go back into here. Cool. Thank you, new4761, for following. I appreciate it. I think we're almost at 100 followers, actually. We're getting pretty close. Okay, let's go through and finish this guy up real quickly. So we need to find these ones. Replace all. Cool. And then we need to find... There's a few more. Let's see. Okay, yep, we need to change this. Replace all. Okay, and then what's this saying? It doesn't like something about this. Okay, we'll have to see what's going on now too. Oh, it's just not updated yet. Okay, cool. Let me save that. I'll save everything. Try and build again. I think I might have missed a couple, but yeah. And we're at 99 followers. Okay, so we're so close. Almost there. You also hate Java's generics or just type erasure, so you cannot have a generic container that stores plain ints. Yes. Yeah, I don't like that also. There's just, I don't like everything as an object too, kind of model that Java tries to use, but it's still good, especially if you're getting introduced to programming, and it's still used a lot in the real world by many different people, so I don't see a problem with it. Like, whatever language you're comfortable with, you know, go for it. And if you can write good code in it, that's all that matters. So, yeah. Yes, when all you know is Java, then Java is good. True. Also. Okay, let's see. So this says, okay, this is what I was worried about. So it's attempting to reference a deleted function, unnamed type as. Oh, okay, so it doesn't like that I have that as an unnamed type. Well, it's just a union, so... Okay, that's weird, first of all. But let's go into here. So it doesn't like the union, really. Like, it really doesn't like it. I've never had problems with this before, though, because I've used unions in C++ before. Here. Let me just see if I did something weird. So if I go into... you know what it is? I bet you it's because some of these unions... or some of these things have GLM vec2s, and I think it probably doesn't like this. So let me go ahead and create something real quick, and I'm going to see if this fixes it. So I'm just going to create a struct for now, and we'll call this that, and we'll make this plain old data, and we'll see what happens. So then I'll go ahead and replace GLM vec2 in this file, this one with vec2. Let's see what happens. Okay. I just want to see if this gets rid of the error real quick. And I think that was the only vector I was using, because that is a template. And so you need a constructor there, but still doesn't like it. OP, if done right, is super readable. That's what, see, I don't know. I think that's pretty subjective, but we can agree to disagree. So, but JetBrains uses Java for all of their applications for some reason. Yeah. Let's not get into any flame wars though, guys, okay? So every language is acceptable here, hopefully. Okay, so it still doesn't like this. So C++, use a union in a struct. Okay, union means all that. This is very fraught, and there's C++ standard. Okay. Okay, this is kind of weird. So if you use unions in your C++ code to deal with anything but C libraries, something is wrong. Okay, I think I'll agree to disagree with this guy there, because if you don't want to use object-oriented programming, then you have to use some sort of other thing. Let's see though, because I know I use unions in some of my other code, and I've never had a problem like this before, which is kind of weird. I think it's going to be right here. Not this one, but this one. So this was something I did for school quite a while back. Yeah. And what is operator overloading? Yeah, Java needs an operator overload because it is nice. Sometimes it can be bad, but you definitely need stuff like that, I think. So I agree. Let's see, because I have something like this. Okay, yeah. So I have a union here, and I even called it as AS, and I never had a problem. So that's just kind of weird that it doesn't seem to like this. I don't know. I might do this off stream just because I'm not sure what's wrong with this, and I might need some more time to figure out what's going on here. But let me do this real quick. I'll try this one more time and see if this is okay. Well, these days, data-oriented design is the new thing in game engines. It's just data and caching is the main same thing, yeah. And Jelmega, sorry. You're saying that's C. Were you saying that this code? Because I did... This is definitely like C style, and I don't think I use any C++. Well, yeah, I use just standard lib and stuff. But I was compiling this in C++ compiler and everything too, and never had a problem with this. So, yeah, and then you can see I'm using like C++ constructs here because I'm not type defing this, but I am using this as just like a regular structure. So, kind of weird. What's this say? Parametric function is undefined. Vec2. Why is this undefined? Oh, because I have to declare this down here. Okay, cool. Missing type specifier. Okay, well, it seems like now I'm good. Yeah, I think GLM Vec2 is just what C++ didn't like there. Because I think the GLM Vec2, since that's a C++ type and it has a default constructor, or it does not have a default constructor, or it does, I think it just doesn't like it, yeah. And that's probably because they are all primitive types. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. So I'm just going to change these all to be primitive types so I can use that union without having to worry. Okay. So attempting to reference a deleted function. Okay, so now I have a problem in here, though, with, let's just get rid of all this stuff real quick. Okay, get rid of all that. And all of that. Okay, so now it doesn't like this. Okay, yeah, because of this. It says the copy constructor is declared implicitly, cannot be referenced. Yeah, so now it doesn't like that. Let's see. Because this shouldn't, like, these are all plain old data now. Like, these are all just primitives. So I don't think... Oh, wait, no. I have a std string in here. That's what's wrong. Okay, so if I change this to a const char star... Now we're good. Okay, okay, yeah. So I just need to make sure that I'm using primitive types for all that stuff, yeah. And even when it comes to math, instead of using something like GLM, you're going to make it yourself, including SIMD optimizations. That's awesome, too. I've been wanting to explore that type of stuff, just haven't had the time. So yeah. I think SIMD and all that type of stuff is very cool, and I would be interested to try it out at some time. Yeah. And it's encouraging to hear that you're like my age as well, because sometimes I look at some programmers and I'm like, it's going to take me decades to learn as much as I need to learn, which I still think. But it's good to see people my age who also want to learn how to do things from scratch too. Yeah. And when you don't use any non-trivial types, the compiler will just mem clear it. Yeah, and that's what I want to happen, because I want this all to be like plain old data, because I don't want to have to deal with the idiosyncrasies of C++ and stuff. Yeah. Game engine architecture explains really well the SIMD stuff. Cool. I have that book, so I will definitely check it out. So we'll say that okay, cool. And then we will change this to, okay, so this is going to be like an annoying part, because now I have to worry about cleaning up memory for strings and stuff. For now, I'm just going to do a really bad thing and say like mem copy. We'll do copy string. I think it's string copy. Yeah, for now I'm just going to do this, and this is really bad because I'm not going to free this memory until I come up with a way to do that in the future. So yeah, so we'll just say char star string memory equals. So I'll be interested too, Jelmega, how you do string handling, because that's always something that just annoys the crap out of me, is figuring out a good way to do memory management for strings and stuff too. Yeah. And yeah, the third edition of that book is amazing. Best investment of my life, right? It's really good. So alloc mem, or maybe I think this is G memory allocate. Okay. And then we'll just do size of text dot C string, or actually just size of char times text dot size or length times +1. Okay, that should be good for the null character. We'll do that, and then we'll do string memory text dot length equals null character, and we'll just change that to a char star. Okay, cool. So then we can just do string memory, and I'll figure this stuff out later, how to free all that memory up and stuff, because now we're going to have some other problems. But I think that should be good now. Let's do this one more time. I'm going to have some more errors pop up probably, but for the most part, this should be good. And ray tracing gems and real-time rendering. I want to get real-time rendering too. And it references something like 1,000 papers. That's insane. And you're going to make your string UTF-8 just to avoid any BS with multiple string types for different encodings. That's also a good idea too. Yeah. So I'll be interested to see, like, memory management for strings is the main thing, because I hate, like, when do you delete strings is the thing that's always been something that I've wondered about. Okay, so I think I can overload plus operators and stuff, and this could still be considered plain old data for vec2. So what I'm going to do is I'll say operator plus, and then we'll do a vec2 ref A, vec2 ref B, and this is going to return a vec2. And yeah, cool. And so now we can keep this plain old data, and we don't have to worry about that, but we can make these things, which will be nice. So then I'll also do minus, and I'll just do copy that. And I'll abstract all this into a different file too and stuff, because this definitely shouldn't just be hanging out where I'm putting it. But yeah, we'll get that done in a little bit. For now, we can do this, and then we can just say return a.x plus b.x, a.y plus b.y. And then this will just return a.x minus b.x, a.y minus b.y. Okay, and now if we go to here, this should disappear, hopefully. No usable user conversion. Okay, so then I have to make a, well, okay, so can we make a type conversion constructor thingy? I don't think we can, so I'll have to do that manually and stuff. For now, though, I'll just change this to vec2. And Jelmega, you said you prefer to have a class for string, not just POD. POD strings are painful. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing that I was like, it's really hard to do that plain old data because freeing and allocating memory and stuff is just annoying. And writing constructors for things with unions is not that bad. You just need to know what is stored in your union, something like a pseudo tagged unions. Yeah, and that's what I was trying to do too. I'll look more into this off stream just to see how it goes because I might still have the constructor, but I have this anim type, which basically just tells me which one of these it is. And I could just write a constructor for that, and then that'll probably be good for all that stuff. For now, though, I'm fine with just doing what I'm doing, and then we'll sort of figure everything out. But yeah. For this, though, this will be a problem. So instead, I'll just say this is a vec2. And cool. So that just works. So I'll take that, and then I'll sort of fix these bugs as I find them. Okay, look at that, guys. It's compiling some stuff, and it succeeded. That's progress, okay? I'm almost back to the point I was at before. Okay, so no operator left of dot length. So what's this saying? So it's saying it doesn't like that. Yes, that's true too. So for now, I'm just going to say string length, stud string length, and we'll do that, and that should be fine. And this doesn't like the fact that I'm doing this, so I'll change that, and I'll fix all this later because I don't feel like fixing it right now. Okay, and then this, we cannot do a substring. That's kind of annoying too, huh? Well, this takes in a std string. Okay, yeah, so what I could do is I could just say std string, temp string, and this is not good either, guys. I don't care right now because I just want to get it to compile for now. So we'll do that, and then we'll just replace this with temp string dot length, and then replace that. Replace one more thing? No. Okay, so that should be good now. Okay, glm clamp. Okay, that should be fine now. That should be fine now. Okay, binary plus, nothing for glm vec2. And this thing, I can do that as well for now. So I really don't care. So we'll say vec2 operator plus vec2a, glm vec2 ref b. And I'll just do this because it's the easiest thing to do for now. Don't follow what I'm coding, guys. Do as I say, not as I do. This is not good practice, everything I'm doing, but I don't care right now. So yeah, we'll do that and that. Since I'm refactoring, I don't care too much about following best practices. I just want to get it compiling again, and then I'll go from there. Okay, so now this should be almost good. Oh, because this is returning. Okay, we should do a glm vec2 here. And then I'll do the same thing up here. And this will return vec2 there. Okay, cool. So now we should be good. Now it's not complaining. Okay, cool. This, we need to fix this. So we'll do this for now. Actually, I could just do plus that, and that'll kind of convert it for me automatically. Yeah, this is not good practices, but hey, it'll work, and that's all I need right now, just so that I can get my stuff working again. Okay, so that's all good. Same thing here. I'll copy that because I think I'm going to be writing that quite a bit. So do that. That. Okay. Okay, doesn't like that. Fix that. Cool, and we should be good. Okay, no, I'm gonna have to overload that plus operator one more time. Let's see, divided by, okay, I need to fix that too. So we'll have this vec2 operator divided by, which takes in a float scale. Do that real quickly. I guess I'll be making my own math library too, Gelmega. Probably be a little bit easier than all this stuff. Well, I'm kind of doing that already, but okay, so return a.x over times scale, a.y times scale. I guess I should do over because that's what we're doing there. Okay, cool. And also, sorry, I just noticed your chat did mention concepts. So if you ever plan on using C++20, they are very nice. This gives you an idea how they look. Cool. I will check that out. Let me just click it so I don't lose it. Okay. It still kind of scares me a little bit just because I'm not super familiar with templates. But I'll take a closer look at that and stuff in the future and see if I can start understanding it. And you finally found your keys. That's good, SE Woods. I didn't know you had lost your keys. My parents, when I lived with them, had started a method where we basically had like a little basket right at the garage door. And so real keys, not keyboard keys. Yeah. Okay, that's what I assumed. But basically they had the basket where you drop your keys in as soon as you come in. And I've sort of carried that over to my life. And it's super helpful. I've got a little tray. I put my keys in my wallet there. And I have never lost them again. So yeah. And you've been looking for a long time now. I'm glad you finally found them though. Get a little tray and just put your keys in that little tray every time and you will never lose them again. I promise. Okay. So we need to overload that minus operator too. We will do this with this and then we'll just say go up here and that. Okay, cool. So that should be fine. And then equals operator. So this is going to be complaining about that. Well, I can just do that now. And that should be fine. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's good. And this is not good, but we can just do... No, we can't just do. Okay, so we'll just have to say vec2. And once again, I will fix all of this up in my off time because there's no reason for you guys to see me fixing all this stuff. It's going to be pretty boilerplate code stuff and everything, yeah. And Jomega, you put your keys at your front door, so not to forget when you leave, which happened before. See, yep, you got to do it. And luckily, they have backup keys and a hidden safe in the building I live in. Okay, that is good. Yes. Original Bryce, when's the Minecraft series coming out on YouTube? After we get the Minecraft series working a little bit. I'll show you guys that too, because I did do some work on it before I was like editing my video frantically, trying to get it out before 3 Blue 1 Brown's submission deadline. But yeah, so I did do a little bit more with the multi-threading stuff. I still don't like the way it's working right now, and I think there's probably some ways where I can make this work a little bit better. But we got the multi-threading sort of working. I also added it so that it goes in like a spiral now, and as you load in new chunks and stuff, it's working fine, and we don't run into crashes and all that stuff, so it's good, and it's unloading the chunks behind us. So yeah, it's all working very well. I just do want to change up a few different things. And who is this? How do I kick somebody? Yeah, spammer. How do I kick you? Because I'm sorry, I'm not for that stuff. Let's go. Guys, you'll get to see me kick somebody live right now. Hopefully I can do this. Okay, wait a second. Here, I'm going to move this out of the way so that you guys aren't like Inception. Okay. So I'm clicking on your name and I'm going to time out. Okay, did that work? Nope, almost there. Oh, okay, yeah, he's in timeout. Cool. So, I'm going to have to get a moderator. Yeah, thank you for that. Cool. So I think we should be good now. I should get a moderator, yeah. Tree or SE Woods or anybody else, Langors. There's a few you guys who are here pretty often. Yeah. If any of you want to be moderators when you're here, I can promote all of you guys who are here pretty, and you would have banned him personally. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I mean, oh, he's only in there for 600 seconds. Okay. Yeah. I think I'm going to do that because we don't need that type of stuff here. Here, give me a second, guys, very quickly. And now I can't find it. Oh, man. See, I got to learn how to use Twitch and stuff. I'm pretty sure banning him also reports him to Twitch. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we definitely want to do that. Yeah, so I lost that ability now because I can't find his username again. If he pops up again, I'll ban him. And then I'm probably going to get a moderator too, just so that we can avoid that type of stuff from happening again. But yeah, whatever I was saying though is basically we're in a pretty good place. I do want to change up some things with how the multi-threading is working and stuff. So yeah, and a moderator too. So if any of you want to be moderators and you're in the Discord, let me know. And I will also try and promote you guys to moderators on Twitch. I have to learn about all that stuff and everything after this. So yeah. And Joe Mega repost. Also, when you see my code, you will see that you use some structured bindings. Cool. So I'll be interested to see your code just to kind of learn about some of the other techniques that you guys are using. And looking good. Okay, cool. I'm glad you like it. Original Bryce. And Langors, I don't mind being a mod either. By the way, how did you implement the multi-threading? Okay, cool. And I implemented the multi-threading. So yeah, we'll go into this a little bit. I had a friend who works with C++ at his day job, and he does a lot of multi-threading. So I asked him for some advice on what he would have done. Essie Woods donated $10. Essie Woods, thank you so much, man. You don't have to keep doing that. I will look into seeing how I can up that though. And yeah, I really appreciate that though. That's awesome, man. And do you have a Discord? I do, yeah. And thank you, Hilbert Curve. Awesome. But yeah, so the multi-threading though. So what did we do, or what did I do in my off time? Basically, he told me that I should use a conditional variable to make sure that the thread isn't constantly running. So I basically just have a unique lock on a conditional variable, and every time the chunk needs work flag gets set, it should wake up this thread, and then it should iterate through this once. And I basically just have a bunch of lock guards around all of the booleans that are being operated on to avoid concurrent stuff. So just lock guards and then a unique lock with a conditional variable. So it was interesting learning about that stuff, but I think there's probably better ways to do this, which I'm going to look into in my off time and stuff too. Yeah. And you'll take care of the donation. Someone else can be moderator. Thank you, Essie Woods. I really do appreciate that. Original Bryce. Okay, and then Jomega, have had to change a decent amount of stuff to work with multi-threading. Yeah, multi-threading is, it's not something you can just throw in there. That's kind of why I try to follow a more functional style of code too in general though, is just because it's easier to work with multi-threading if you have like functional paradigms in your code and everything. So, you know, hopefully that's how it will end up, but you never know. So, Hilbert Curve. Okay, and then just checking your guys' chat and everything. And I should check out atomics for the bools. Yes, I did use atomics, but since I was reading and writing to them and stuff, I was still I wanted to lock them just because I wanted to make sure that they were set appropriately and like you didn't read something and then even though it's still atomic, you might have gotten the wrong value since it's running on different cores and that type of stuff. So, yeah, I did use atomic for like other booleans that I was reading from and everything too, though. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so let's continue fixing this very quickly, though. So this doesn't like this. Let me compile again just to see what errors we still have left. We're almost there, guys. This is almost refactored pretty good. I have to fix this stuff, too. So let's just go ahead and do that. Can I do that? Nope. Yeah, that should be fine. And I think that should just zero initialize it. I'm just going to do this just in case, though, because I'm not completely sure. And I think this is all the stuff that we're going to have to fix. So let's just go through and do this very quickly and see what we get to. And to see it, you have to set it, you have to do stood atomic compare exchange. Yeah, I did read that, like the compare and swap idiom or something. And I saw this, the C++ video. Let's see, C++ atomics versus mutex conference. And this guy was talking about like, yeah, lockless programming. Okay, yeah, so lockless programming, CPP conference. Let's actually just do this on YouTube because I'll probably find it faster. Because I am interested what you think of this too. CPP conference. Oh wait, actually I think it's right here. Yeah, this guy. So he was basically saying like there is no such thing as true lockless because you end up, was it him or was it him? It definitely, he looked like this. So I watched one of these guys and he was talking about how like atomics don't really lead to lockless programming and everything. So it was just interesting to see how that all works out and stuff too. But yeah. And it is an atomic read and write. That is true. Okay, let's go through here, fix all this stuff very quickly though. Okay, and then this will be... Oh yeah, I should have known that GLM vec2 isn't plain old data too, because it has constructors. Like, I don't know why I ever thought it was. I think it's standard layout, and I was confusing that with plain old data, which is two different things. So yeah, note to self. Okay, point.x, point.y, I keep getting this. So let me just copy that. And we'll do this. And this. Paste. Size equals that, except we'll do that. Copy that. And did I just do it? I think I might have just finished. Nope, almost there. Polyvoid, thank you for following. Cool, glad you're here. And Atomics is lock-free but not wait-free. Yeah, that's what he was kind of going into. For multi-threading, you have locked mutexes and things like that, lock-free atomics, and wait-free, extremely hard. Yeah, so that's sort of what he was explaining, and kind of why I shied away from it is just because it's not technically completely lock-free, but yeah. Okay, what's this saying? It doesn't like default equation. Because what did I change that to? Parametric function, float t, type. Okay, so that returns a vec2 now, and I just have to change that. Let's go back. Default equation, just change that to a vec2. We should be good. Cool. So that's fine. Let's build this, see what happens. I think I should have most of the errors gone, but we're almost there. We're getting there. And yeah, you need to sync the L1 cache correctly. Yeah. Oh, hey, we're at 101 followers. Nice job, guys. Thank you all for following so much. It's fun streaming, and it's good to see you all here. So, oh, cool. Another one. Original Bryce just subscribed. Oh, hey. Thanks, Original Bryce. That's awesome, too. I guess next goal is 100 subscribers, right? That'll be the day. Okay, so it doesn't like this minus operator. Cannot overload distinguished by return type alone. Did I do that here too? Oh, let me just change one of these to that. And then we'll be good. I'll do the same thing in here. Yeah, this is horrible programming, guys. Do not do what I'm doing, because it's not the way you're supposed to do stuff. Yeah. And Jomega, gonna make some food now, but because my kitchen's right next to my desk, can watch stream and food and cook. Cool. I need to do that. My kitchen's back there, so it's not close enough. And I see was, did I ever consider just streaming on YouTube? I kind of did, but I was like, Twitch is kind of the, streaming thing. So I was just like, I'm just going to do Twitch because I feel like most people who watch streams go to Twitch. And if I wanted a bigger audience of streamers, to keep it here. So trying to kind of keep it centralized and keep all my streams on one thing and all of my videos on another thing and that type of stuff, Let's go. This is taking in a GLM vec2, so I just have to that. Actually, I could just do a that. Does that work? What's this gonna say? No, well, if I do this, does that work? Or what's this say? Oh, it doesn't like the minus operator. Oh, this is getting kind of annoying. I just have to buckle down and actually change all this stuff to be the correct thing. So this is a vec2. This is a vec2. It doesn't like it because of this. Let me change this to a vec2. And let's just go ahead and replace all GLM vec2 in my project. Well, in here for now with vec2. Okay, that's good. We'll replace that. It's gonna like that. Oh, it's undefined. Okay, so first let's go up here. Include animation/animation. Okay, so that's all good. It doesn't like this, so let's do a special find and replace. we'll use some regexes just to make this a little bit easier. So vec2, now we'll replace that with vec2, that, and we'll just take in A through Z dot that commas. I think I can just do comma, and then numbers star that. Okay, I might have to change this up a little bit. Okay, so we're using regexes, and then I want to do A through Z. Let's see. This is like special find and replace things. Okay, so A through Z. Oh, I think it's because I have to do that and that. And then we'll do A through Z. Is it going to work? No. Usually I can use regexes easier than this. I don't know. Okay, guys, I'm probably going to stop pretty close because it's been a while and I have some company coming over a little bit later today. I wish I could have gotten this completely fixed up and stuff, but looks like I'll have to do that off stream and everything. But yeah, let me look through your comments very quickly though. If a layout is smart and you don't have 5 kids. I have 6 brothers and sisters, so having 5 kids is awesome as a kid. I'll tell you that. Also a tip, if you plan on doing a lot of C++, it might be interesting to check out something like ReSharper C++. It's paid though. I did use ReSharper for a couple months, but too much RAM. I have 48 gigabytes of RAM and it was still too much RAM. Like my computer was dying every time I turned it on. So it was nice in concept, but it didn't play out very well. Yeah. Thank you all so much for coming to the stream again though. It was really fun. I will fix this off stream. And if you want to see sort of what this library does, you can check out my newest video on my YouTube channel just to sort of get an idea of what it does and everything. So yeah. But I will see you guys either Wednesday if I have time or Thursday or next Saturday at 9 a.m. So, yep. Thanks again and see you guys next time.